I have a question for you. What do you usually use your Master Ball on? I asked my girlfriend this question, and she told me her legendary. I looked at her and was like, but what if I need it later? Now let me paint you a scenario. You find a rare and powerful item that can help you on your journey. You make it through tough battle after tough battle, but never use it because you know your greatest challenge is yet to come. You find yourself in a bind, but always manage to clutch out a win. And before you know it, the credits are rolling? That's when you look in your pack to find piles of game-breaking potions and power-ups collecting dust at the bottom. I guess we can call it a retirement fund? This phenomena is known around our home as too good to use syndrome. And frankly, it's plagued me in games for far too long. Whether it's Mega Elixirs in Final Fantasy or Black Firebombs in Dark Souls, I can never bring myself to consume the consumables. While trying to get to the bottom of how I got this way, I found items I've literally never even used. Which is funny because the devs designed these items and balanced them as a finite resource with the intent of helping us out. Meanwhile, whether because of cheesing, gear fear, or simply wanting to save them for later, it seems some items are just too good to use.
Dude, I wonder if it's time. I wonder if it's time for me to blow the horn.
Blow the horn, call him in. So dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm far beyond Odin is.
What?
Oh.
In C.S. Lewis's Prince Caspian, Dr. Cornelius presents the prince with one of Narnia's most sacred treasures, the magical horn of Queen Susan.
Do not use it, except at your greatest need.
He warns Caspian that to use it will have unknown outcomes, and tells him that he should only blow the horn in his moment of greatest need. Baldur's Gate 3 is littered with items just like this.
Use it when the need arises, and never a moment before.
But one stands above the rest. In pretty much every RPG, you're bound to find things that are just too good to use. Whether it's a godly weapon that can't be repaired after use, or a consumable scroll or potion that is so good using it on anything less than the final encounter feels like a waste, there's no getting around it. Simply put, there's no shortage of things not to use.
Do you think Nickabrick wants to use the horn yet?
Probably wanted to use the horn like 10 minutes ago. What's confounding is that a lot of games are built around the premise of player choice, and giving us tons of consumables and equipment options gives us variety in how we deal with an encounter. That's where the problem arises though, because there's always another way, a way that costs less.
I am, by all accounts, a student of higher commerce and extortion.
Oh, I don't know if we have any money.
Make me an offer.
Let me pitch you a scenario from my last time in Baldur's Gate. Traveling along the road, your party may stumble upon a group of gnolls. Analyze the situation with me. They're all clustered together in a group with low health, vulnerable to fire, and coincidentally, surrounded by fire wine barrels. Keep in mind, the encounter needs to be decisive because given too long, the hyenas will transform into gnolls and join the battle.
That hyena's going for help.
A quick path to victory exists where the fireball scroll in your pack can nuke these monsters before they join the fray. But there's also another option. The Rockier Road asks the group to white-knuckle their way through this, over the course of several turns trading blows one for one. The two have the same outcome, or do they? In one of them, you still have your fireball scroll, although I can't say the same for your sanity.
He's 1 health.
Finish him off for you.
Thank you.
Are you kidding? Since receiving the horn, Caspian has grouped up with a dwarf named Nickabrick, and the two have found themselves backed into a corner with nowhere to run. The dwarf pleads with the prince to blow the horn, to which he admits, "We certainly are in great need, but it's difficult to be sure we are at our greatest. Suppose something even worse came about and we'd already used it." By that argument, Nickabrick responds, "You'd never use it at all, at least not before it was too late." Nickabrick is out of line, but he's right. He may be a coward, but he's an alive coward. At least for now. Still got that fireball scroll for this exact moment.
so good.
Worth. Too often we put ourselves through hell because we're more concerned with future challenges than the ones before us. Every RPG I play, I run into this problem, and I swear I always tell myself things are going to be different. Every single time, without fail though, I find myself with a backpack filled to the brim with potions and scrolls at the end of the campaign. Oh damn.
That was
good
so
throw.
good.
It was ogre on ogre throw there. I don't know what it is, but every time I hover over a consumable and consider using it, that little worm in my brain tells me to find another way.
The voice is irresistible.
Even in honor mode, where nothing is worth dying over, the angel and devil on my shoulders are constantly debating if the stakes are at their highest.
Unless you break out.
I'm out. What do I do now?
Invisibility?
I was gonna
maybe?
say, do I just bail?
I think this one's a wipe, so yeah, I think you do.
Do I have one invisibility potion. Well, team,
Get out?
goodbye, everyone. I'll remember you in therapy.
I've tossed and turned in my sleep thinking about how I waited too long to use the ogre's horn, or how the potions of reprieve in my pouch have grown to a stack size that they're finally over encumbering me. That's when I laugh and realize these are all child's play in comparison to Baldur's Gate's ultimate consumable crisis.
Look at the party screen, Taryn. Everybody, press tab real quick if you can.
There exists one consumable in BG3 that suffers so much from too good to use syndrome that I've literally never even seen it used before.
You can't summon a dead ogre, it turns out.
Use it or lose it. By definition, the rules of a roguelike are that you only live once. YOLOing it tends to be the best way forwards, but just make sure not to squander the gifts of RN Jesus.
Wait, don't.
Well, I'm dead.
Whether his generosity takes the form of an amazing upgrade, a fun item synergy, or maybe just a powerful active item, a blessed run is to be cherished.
Let's go, Taryn.
What does this mean?
We're dancing. That's what it means. Get over here and dance with me. It doesn't matter how delirious your luck is. If you die, we all end up in the same place. So use it or lose it.
No.
One of my worst habits in the Binding of Isaac is wasting good active items. You have a Yum Heart.
What is that?
That's your active item, remember? So,
How do I do it?
maybe one of the triggers? There you go. It's not that I use them when I shouldn't, quite the contrary. My problem is that I never use them as much as I should. Allow me to explain.
Oh. What's the battery?
It charges our active item. The ones that we have not been using.
Oh.
The Isaac dilemma usually revolves around wasting charges, not the items themselves. Active items in Isaac usually recharge based on the number of rooms you clear. We're giving Taryn a refresher, by the way, everybody. This is the charge.
Like
so
the
each
pips?
room fills one of those pips up. See, mine only has 2.
Oh.
All items have charge time specific to them, but generally you can fill an item's charge 2 or 3 times per floor. With that being said, an item starts to feel like a waste of space when you complete a room with it fully charged. Oh my god. Should I just re-roll this? It seems complicated. Ooh. Taryn, you're going to want to grab this battery. The easiest spacebar items for me to use are the ones that require no thought or strategy behind when you use them. What this does is it lets you charge up your heart twice. Items that heal you or give you coins are the types that you usually use immediately as soon as they get a full charge.
Oh wait, I can use the book.
Oh yeah, use your book. Use your book, bro.
Like the shield hearts.
On the contrary, the offensive items are far more of a headache for me. These are the ones that you can use to deal damage or buff yourself up for a single room, and they're often very powerful. I didn't even grab the power up. The trap I find myself falling into all the time is the one where I want to save my active items charge for a difficult room. But unfortunately, that difficult room just never seems to come. More like it already came 3 or 4 rooms ago, and I've just tricked myself into thinking it's still out there somewhere. Oh shit, I'm gonna die. use it or lose it, right? Every single time I get to the boss door and look at the map to see the dungeon floor has been fully cleared out, I can't help but let out a small sigh. The least I can do is use the active item on the boss, if for no other reason than to at least have used the item once this floor. Oh no! I should have used it sooner. Ugh. The pain of this too good to use syndrome is twofold. On the one hand, there's an opportunity cost because you can only hold one active item at a time. If you're holding that one, you're consequently missing out on all the perks another could have given you in its place. On the other hand, if you aren't even using that item to begin with, you could argue you may as well not even be holding it at all. The real kicker is when you have an active item that you don't just save for a tough room, but for a tough floor. That's when the opportunity cost starts to get really expensive. My girlfriend recently called me out for being a total hypocrite about this, and I won't even try to deny it. While writing for this video, I got the urge to play more Isaac, and we did a live stream of it together where I quite literally nagged her to death about not using her active item enough. I think you can yum heart, by the way. You need a yum heart. There you go. You can yum heart. I'm gonna keep saying it.
I will not remember it.
I know.
I guess it just
He
haunts
just
the shit out of
hates.
me.
Oh, use yum heart. Use yum heart. Use yum heart. Nice. Yeah, you gotta be using yum heart every chance you get, Taryn.
Yep, keep reminding me.
Back it up, girl. Back it up. Protect yum heart, Taryn. Yum heart. And then yum heart. Use yum heart. Use yum heart, Taryn. Yeah, go ahead and yum heart. That's fine. Hit yum heart. We should have gone this morning, but we had a lot to get done before stream. You can yum heart, Taryn. There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you can yum heart, Taryn.
Yum.
Yum. By the way, we stream with every video release, so if you'd like to come say hi, there should be a link down in the description. Hopefully we see you there. We ended the broadcast and she was like, isn't this exactly what the video you're working on is about? What she didn't realize when she asked me this question was that she was opening up Pandora's Box. You could call it a classic case of do as I say, not as I do. But in my mind, I'm just trying to spare her from developing my same bad habit. Admittedly, that's exactly what this is, a bad habit. I've trained myself in the art of delayed gratification perhaps a hair too far, because in a sick twist of fate, I'm now content with the dopamine hit never coming through and the grind being endless. A particular item in Isaac serves as a cautious reminder of the dangers that mindset can create, and also that sometimes using something too early hurts much less than waiting until it's too late. Not my finest moment. Anyone who's familiar with the Resident Evil series will know that per the law of supply and demand, a full cartridge is the coin of the land.
Per the law of supply and demand, a full cartridge is now the coin of the land.
Yes, I stole that line, but come on, it's the universal law of zombie killing.
Got something that might interest you.
Bullets are more precious than gold, and that's because in a lot of these games you can't purchase ammunition. The scarcity of ammo has always been a staple to the Resident Evil experience, and when you add the element of horror, you've cooked up the perfect storm of being helplessly armed to the teeth. There's ammo, there's still ammo to loot even mid-fight. Sitting on a huge pile of ammunition that you don't want to use, each enemy encounter becomes a battle with your own anxiety. As much as you'd like to dump rounds into whatever scary monster is barreling towards you, you need to make sure you still have some for whatever might be waiting around the corner.
No, not this room. Shit.
The cycle of having tons of rounds and half a mag left is a cycle that the gameplay thrives in. The thrill of a loop like this is that it's as much of a battle with the game as it is with the fear cortex of your brain.
Am I out of ammo?
Oh, no.
Was I out of ammo?
And your amygdala wants to spend whatever resources it takes to survive. It's only once you start to get more comfortable with the game and can actually rein in those fears that the gameplay loop begins to change. Dude, use both hands. What the hell are you doing? It's a phenomena I witnessed for myself the first time Taryn did a playthrough of a Resident Evil game.
So I don't think that did jack shit.
In those times, Queen Consumable was known for spraying bullets at whatever stepped into her line of sight and throwing grenades left and right.
Jesus Christ.
However, as she got more comfortable with the game, I started to notice a change in how she played. The game wasn't about keeping her health up, but her briefcase full. Enter the knife. Here we go. Knife time. Yeah, baby. Any Resident Evil fan ought to be well acquainted with the knife. It's the one tool in your arsenal that doesn't consume ammo, and figuring out how to maximize it is the key to making sure you don't run out of bullets. Well, that's only partially true. The game has plenty of bullets for when you need them. Believe it or not, it's smart enough to know when you're low and will drop you some when you're struggling. Smart players know that not all bullets are created equal though, and some are too good to use. Let me explain this in Doom terms for you all. In Doom, the BFG is infamous for being the biggest weapon in your arsenal, being able to take out every non-boss enemy in only a single hit. It's a weapon that demands you use its ammo sparingly.
I just missed.
But that leads to the I can handle these with smaller weapons effect, where dumping 40 rounds of a weaker gun into an armored foe somehow feels like less of a waste than letting the BFG go to work with only a single shot.
I just shoved my BFG in its mouth.
Similar to the BFG, the Magnum is the standard power weapon in Resident Evil. Yeah, this is the Magnum ammo.
Wait, and it's down below too. You have a collection.
This is 45 caliber Magnum ammo. Collecting Magnum ammo is basically a rite of passage for any Resident Evil player because it doesn't take long to wonder why your best gun has been sitting empty for so long. Yeah, so I have 30 rounds and then 3 in the chamber. Carefully picking up 1 or 2 high caliber rounds here and there over the course of a full playthrough should be enough of a hint that you shouldn't waste it on fodder enemies. You want to hold off on firing it on anything less than a boss battle, and God forbid you miss a shot. Alright, so check it out, Taryn. What you can do, you can take out your Magnum, and you can shoot. Oh, what? He barely stayed down that time. The irony of all this being that once you get to a boss fight, if you're like me, you might decide to not use your good ammo anyways. I've got enough pistol rounds in my pocket to make do, and I know the game well enough that I don't have to waste my Magnum on this fight either. The key word there being waste, because why buy the Magnum in the first place? Especially if I wasn't planning on shooting it for the entire run. Okay. Throw on the Magnum, and then you can shoot that like that.
Oh.
But that is a waste of good Magnum bullets, in my opinion. My personal opinion, Taryn.
So you'd rather just whip out the knife and go
I think I'm gonna
stabby.
do, I have one true love, okay? Aside from you, that is. It's not necessarily that the Magnum is too good to use, so much as it is I like to prove to myself I can go without it. Overcoming a challenge without having to rely on a consumable crutch is all well and good, but then what's the point of filling up my inventory with all these bullets? Not to mention, I still need to make room in my case for an even bigger round not to use.
Use this.
The scene is set. It's Baldur's Gate 3. We're fighting the Elder Brain. It's time to use every resource we've got. Some moves can only be used once per long rest. Others only work once per battle. The Sorcerer is twinning haste. The Fighter just used their action surge. And now, it's time for the Cleric's turn.
If you haste me, I have this scroll, I can cast it.
Divine Intervention. A move you only get to use once per playthrough. The party's low on spell slots and everyone's looking pretty beat up.
Yep.
Nah, better save it for later.
Oh no, that's game. Yep, that's game.
Upon reaching level 10 in Baldur's Gate 3, a cleric unlocks a skill called Divine Intervention. This skill is unique because it can only be cast once during your entire playthrough, and for good reason. Your patron saint quite literally affords you deific authority to overcome an encounter by divine right.
If you think your precious little god holds any power here, you're in for a surprise.
It can shower you with supplies and potions or smite your enemies in a massive AoE. But perhaps most potent of all, it has the ability to long rest the entire party in the middle of combat. That means that mid-battle, everyone gets their spell slots fully recovered along with their unique class resources as well. In every single playthrough we've done with our party of 4, my friend Ben is always our cleric.
Does someone want to pick her up, or should I pick her up?
I got her.
You got her? Okay.
The running joke between the girls and I is that there are 3 certainties in life: death, taxes, and Ben respecking into cleric.
Wow, who's Very high resistance.
Oh.
Very nice.
We've done 3 honor runs with Ben and Shannon, and in each one we've had near brushes with death dozens of times.
Holy shit!
Ben! We just lost Ben!
Wow,
Ben! Ben! That was Ben!
Well, you just killed Ben!
Oh,
what the?
Oh, the hell?
What happened?
But also in each one, we managed to make it all the way to the credits, and somehow Ben has still not used his divine intervention.
I used my divine intervention.
It wasn't even until this video that the girls even knew he had the ability to begin with, and when I brought it up over dinner with them a couple weeks ago, they both laughed at him and were like, gee, that sounds like it could have been super helpful.
They're smart. They're going for you because you have the concentration.
Terrifying.
Oh, that's terrifying.
Ah.
Oh, he got a new... Fuck. That just instant killed me.
I like to give him flack, but in my single player playthrough, I also finished the game with Shadowheart not using her divine intervention. I think part of the nature of this problem comes from these games using turn-based combat, which means I can sit there and think for as long as I need to before carving a way forwards. Given enough time, the path to victory becomes illuminated and I can see the light. Under the right circumstances, I won't necessarily find the path of least resistance, but I will certainly find the path of least consumption.
There's so many boys. Jeez, they're everywhere.
Divine intervention has to be the pinnacle of too good to use in RPGs. It's a prime example of a choice being so big that I'd rather do nothing than make the wrong decision. Forgetting, of course, that choosing to do nothing is still making a choice.
God, I thought we were dead there for a second.
Half the time, I can't even decide which of the 4 interventions would be the best to use because the 4 different things it can do are all such game changers in their own right. That's of course a problem for another day because we're assuming I've worked up the courage to even use it at all. With half my crew downed and the other half cleaned of spell slots, I still hesitate to cast the spell, even with Nick a Brick pleading for me to do so. In a way, you could argue the game boils down to figuring out how to not use your items. And consequently, you learn to not rely on them. Of course, having your patron saint intervene at a critical moment in a battle, swinging the tide of the fight in your favor is the stuff of legends. But at the same time, what if I need their help in Baldur's Gate 4?
For Narnia!
It's a nice horn.
In a game that might make you think I'm a lot older than I actually am, Guardians Crusade contains an item that perfectly captures the too good to use conundrum. Living toys are special devices made by Professor Zepeto to help humans with their work, and for all intents and purposes, you could just think of them as robots. I'm a living toy. Not to be confused with an undead toy. One of my favorites to talk about is one called Walk Bomb, whose damage scales based off of the amount of distance you've traveled. I bet you can tell where this is going. 2? Jesus. The ability sounds good on paper, but there's a huge catch. The major caveat to how his power works is that the distance traveled resets each time you use him. I've walked literal circles in my head trying to logic my way through the Walk Bomb riddle.
I have not walked as far as I thought I had.
You see, the game almost encourages you to save Walk Bomb for as long as you can, but ironically, it results in him being less useful on subsequent uses.
If you weren't trying to use Walk Bomb when you accidentally clicked him on accident, that would suck.
Yeah, if you accidentally use Walk Bomb, that might warrant a reload, honestly.
Somewhat paradoxically, saving him for a really big moment will consequently result in less game to walk about in for his next use. That means using him at his greatest potential also means gutting him of any future usefulness.
We've done a lot of walking.
169 from Walk Bomb. So what you're left here to decide is whether to sprinkle his uses throughout your journey for some decent damage, or to let him snowball to an obscene level, only to burn out afterwards like a dying star. This interaction totally reminds me of Pandora's Box from The Binding of Isaac. There's an active item in Isaac that doesn't recharge and can only be used once, called Pandora's Box. When used, different things will come out of the box depending on when you choose to open it. The rewards get better and better the deeper you make it into the dungeons, but this obviously comes with the cost of carrying the box all that way. We've already discussed the value and power that active items have, and choosing to take the box with you may as well be the same as not having an item in that slot at all. There's an opportunity cost to carrying the box, but there's also a major risk involved as well.
Finally, that's not an item though. Oh wait, shit, it is okay. I brought them.
If you were to bring the box to the last floor of the dungeon, your reward for carrying it that far is a single penny.
Nice. And the bum just took it. Oh my god.
The best time to use it will depend on what you want out of it. Certain floors give you health or money, while others give you extra items and power-ups. Obviously, finding it late in a run is really good, because in some cases you can open it right then and there. But what's truly painful has to be whenever I find it on the very first floor.
Oh no.
Sometimes when it appears, I opt to just open it right then and there to avoid having to do all the mental gymnastics of should I or shouldn't I. Although, not without regret for what could have been.
Oh, that's gonna be the difference maker. Alright, we're bringing the stupid box with us. We have enough. Sorry, Satanic Bible.
When I do decide to be a little zany and haul that box deep into the earth with me, I have to remember to actually use it.
I can't really make use of that and still carry Pandora's Box. God damn it. I swear, Turn, I have the biggest love affair with this stupid box.
The amount of times I've carried this stupid blue box all the way to the final floor and forgotten to use it is exactly why it reminds me of Walk Bomb. The contents of the box would have been a huge help getting me that deep in the first place. Not to mention that, paradoxically, when you make it to the last few floors, most of what it has to offer is only useful for a few minutes before you win the run anyways.
So I guess I'll just do nothing. And I'll just carry this stupid box. I'm gonna end up dying with the box. I just died. I should have opened the damn box. That was a good run, too.
It feels like every time I get to the end of Resident Evil 4, I've got piles of ammo in my Taché case collecting dust. The thing is, if I'm not going to fire it, I may as well just sell it, because these upgrades aren't cheap.
Okay, hold on. So if I sell everything I own, there's a good shot that I might be able to buy it.
Good thing you kept all that magnum ammo.
Ironically, this once coveted resource ends up getting sold to the merchant for more pesetas, and thus, the coin of the land makes its full circle.
One of the things I'm gonna point out just for fun is even like with all the infinite ammo guns,
Look at all the magnum
we
ammo!
still are collecting hand cannon ammo.
Oh no!
Ammunition certainly begins to lose its luster when you start unlocking the guns with infinite ammo on them. The weapons come at a high cost to counterbalance how overpowered they are, so it's a good thing we played stingy, otherwise we might not be able to afford them.
Like, you don't use the knife ever again, basically.
Oh no, but you're beloved.
I know, right? It's like such a betrayal. Because you just break everything with the gun. Like, who cares, right? I can just sit here.
Once you've faced the staggering price tag the Infinity weapons boast, you'll start looking at every item you find with a dollar value attached to it. Which is just a fancy way of saying, all future runs through the game will have you less concerned with the story and more focused on your wallet.
I always save these for the end of the playthrough, because it's fun to sell them.
Oh yeah.
The priority shifts to squeezing every last coin out of a playthrough. And take it from someone who collects eggs at the farm for a couple of hours at the beginning of every fresh save file.
The golden egg!
The noble sacrifice of ammo to the merchant is in the name of the few weapons who transcend ammo themselves.
What you need that for? Going hunting an elephant?
And that is a worthy enough cause.
That's the reload animation.
Not to mention, offloading some of this miscellaneous stuff in my case makes room for the real item that's too good to use.
I see that the president's equipped his daughter with ballistics too.
How rude!
In the final battle of Resident Evil 4, Leon faces off with Lord Edmund Sadler in an action-packed battle against his Plagas parasite transformation.
Nice. Yeah, let's do a backflip. It'll hurt less.
After weakening it enough, Ada Wong throws him a special red rocket launcher to finish the fight.
Use this!
Use this. In every Resident Evil game, the rocket launcher is notorious for being able to one-hit most boss battles. But bear with me a moment while we do some rocket science.
Stranger. Now that's a weapon.
Now that's a weapon. Trying to fit this thing in your case is always a pain in the ass, especially since it leaves as quickly as it comes. Or does it?
No, I think you gotta save it.
What you're intended to do is fire the rocket and get a cool slow-mo cutscene of Sadler exploding in fiery glory.
Whoa!
Good aim, Leon.
Good aim.
Ashley gets saved, the parasite is killed, and you get to ride off into the sunrise on a jet ski.
What an ending, huh?
What an ending.
But spoiler alert, that never happens. What instead happens is you get the rocket launcher, spend 4.5 minutes rearranging your entire briefcase.
The egg is not going anywhere. I carried it this far, didn't I?
And then wrap up the fight using the knife.
I think the knife looks cooler too, personally.
Yeah.
Like, call me draconian. Oh, shit.
Not quite the action-packed photo finish that the alternative provides, but you ought to know that the red rocket sells for 30,000 pesetas in New Game Plus.
So he drops 100,000 pesetas, and then the rocket sells for another 30,000.
Wow.
I think Too Good to Use syndrome kicks in when my loyalty to the knife overrides the flashiness of a big photo finish. Clearly they aren't paying Leon enough for his rescue mission, because we cannot afford to spend a red rocket in this economy.
Money.
Money, bitches.
The funny thing is, I don't even know if the rocket belongs in the category of too good to use. Functionally, it works exactly the same as a regular rocket launcher. It just looks scarier because it's red. Special.
Ooh.
Nonetheless, in all my years of playing this game, I think the only time I ever actually fired the red rocket was the first time I played at the ripe age of 12 years old.
Not overkill in the slightest.
Breath of the Wild follows the tradition of other Zelda games, with Link embarking on an adventure to rescue Zelda and save Hyrule. Where the game sets itself apart is in its open world and free roam philosophy.
So this is the whole world right here.
Oh my god.
Where previous Zelda games had you progress through a series of dungeons, Breath of the Wild gives you the entire map all at once.
What the hell happened?
Why was that game over yellow? Is that like less embarrassing than a red game over?
Every tool needed to solve every puzzle in the game is at your disposal right from the opening gate. Well, with one exception.
The sword that seals the darkness.
Weapons in Breath of the Wild are something you have to find and scavenge in the world. You can usually find them just through simple exploration, and plenty of enemies drop them as well. What's nice about this is that weapons come and go so often, you're bound to find a stronger one if you keep looking. More often than not, while out and about, a player will stumble upon a chest with a blade that puts the one in their inventory to complete shame. But that's also when it happens. Too Good to Use syndrome rears its ugly head. Since weapons are breakable and have durability on them, I often find myself towing a line between wanting to try out this cool new thing I found and feeling like using it was a complete waste.
Use brings about wear, tear, and rust. And that's a real waste.
I've spoken a lot about consumables in games that are too good to use, but this is an instance where I'll speak a bit about the opposite. Sometimes there are items that are too good not to use.
Aha.
Yo!
The single weapon in Breath of the Wild that doesn't have durability is the Master Sword. It's the Zelda series' famous tool for repelling evil and has been by our side for dozens of games. Its reputation precedes it, and the sword certainly lives up to expectations.
The Master
Obtained
Sword.
by completely legitimate means, mind you. The durability statement is half true. You see, it can run out of charge, but unlike all the other weapons, it recharges and can be used again, making it unique as the only renewable weapon in the entire game. But perhaps what makes it special is also what makes it stale.
Wow.
Let's take a look at Animal Crossing for a minute. My girlfriend adamantly refuses to craft the golden tools in New Horizons because they break.
It broke! It's a bunch of bullshit.
It's such a big deal to her that I gave her a watering can from my island so she could get the golden roses. And once she had enough, she never used the can again. The gold tools and the iron variants both do the same job. The gold ones just last 3 times as long. The bad news is that 3 iron is worth a lot less than 1 gold, and therein lies the problem.
It's like crazy because I have all of this iron and only this much gold from all the rocks that I've hit. That's how rare the gold is. Like, I'm not freaking using that on my tools.
There's a saying that if all you have is a hammer, all your problems start looking like nails. Basically, when you have a tool for hitting, you start trying to solve everything with swinging. The Master Sword is the proverbial hammer here, because even though you have a dozen other tools to do things, they all break with use. Since it's your best tool for literally everything, you begin to use it for more and more menial tasks. For instance, rather than waste hits on my axe, let me just hack this tree down with the Master Sword instead. Over time, the sword loses its legendary status, while slowly becoming more and more dull to use. No pun intended. I've always felt guilty about blunting its edge on a tree, thinking about everything I've been through with it in previous games, but alas, it's too good not to use. And I guess therein lies some beauty, because even though it feels like we should use it, it's still a choice we get to make.
Yay!
At the end of the day, choice is what makes a playthrough yours. We put items in a glass display case and call them too good to use, not because of the item's value, but because of our experience with them. Every chance you had to use them in your journey but didn't, was what made it your journey. Whether that was to carefully collect a piggy bank full of bullets to crack open a New Game Plus, to haul an active item so deep into Isaac's basement that its contents became worthless, or to invoke the divine favor of your god as a conversation starter at a party. All of these decisions make up the pieces of a greater journey, your journey. Akin to how there's a story behind every scar, there's a tale for every unused Mega Elixir and Master Ball in your pocket. I realized something important while making this video. To quote our boy Caspian one final time, suppose something worse came about and we'd already used it. Well, spoiler alert, there will be. Your greatest challenge in life will far exceed anything a game can throw at you. But that's okay. If you have a moment, come have a seat next to me and take a glance back at how far you've come. No matter what challenges the future's hiding, you've already proven you don't need the horn. Now, while we're down here, pass me one of those elixirs, would ya? All this talk is making me thirsty.
Thank you to all our channel members and patrons for helping us make these videos. Speaking of, an extra big girlfriend-sized thank you to our 6-wheelers: Daniel Rogers, Gizmo, Isaac Vogan, David Webb, Mace, Albino the Infernape, Shaneboy1888, and Cerberus. Thanks again, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and click all those other fun buttons down below. We have an exciting summer planned for Boy Meets Girl, and you won't want to miss out. And on that note...